Well, good morning, everyone. I'm just sitting here with my KRUTZ guitar. I picked this up last year when I was in Clovis, California, at a really, really neat store called Gottschalk. And it was a fun visit. And this was there, and it was had a price tag on it for $6.99. And so it actually has a solid koa top. And it's made by a company called KRUTZ. And I haven't spent a lot of time with this guitar. I have had it out, spent a lot of time with it. But I just thought I would take a look at the action on it. It felt a little bit tight to me. But on the other hand, the guitar was cold, so it will feel like that. If your guitar is cold, it actually, I think it makes the strings, well, actually it brings the tuning up a little bit. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. So you'll feel it. But nevertheless, I thought we'd talk a little bit about action because I've actually looked at some of the measurements on this guitar already, and basically they're right on, but on a little bit on the high side. For instance, the action on this thing is running right now about 0.1 inch. Whereas usually I like to see it about 0.09. Does that mean that the guitar is bad? No, not at all. Usually companies will send them out a little bit high so that you can adjust them to your preference, because there's some people out there, namely bluegrass players, I think is a good example of it. A lot of times they like a little bit higher action because they're digging into the guitar so much. And they don't have as light a touch, and it gives them more tone, gives them less buzz. So it depends on the person. So a lot of times the guitars that you see in the store, they're within spec. They're just on the very high side. And so they have a feeling that the action's bad. And so a lot of people walk away and say, oh, that guitar is bad. When actually it's not bad. It just needs a setup. And really, whenever you buy a new guitar, it's a good idea to check it out, have it set up, have it set to what you're comfortable with, and definitely don't throw it away. There's nothing wrong with a guitar. Very, very common for the companies to set them up like this, with that thought in mind that you're going to adjust it. It's better to come up from the high side, actually to bring it down from the high side, than to say cut the nut or the saddle too low, or have it too low to begin with. So that way you can make adjustments. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the way I approach it from what I've been taught. Anyways, when I was going to school classes up in Winters with art guitar, there's certain things that was shared with me there in terms of preferences of specs and how to look at things like relief. And so I'll share some of that with you today. And but on the other hand, I've done a lot of reading, and there's a difference of opinion out there in terms of how the relief should be set up or exactly where it should be at. So everybody has an opinion. Which one is right? Well, I think the one that's right is the one that makes your guitar play the best for you. And so you really have to personalize it. You really do. And so it's good to get a good luthier to do your setup for you. That's okay with making adjustments. And if you're not comfortable with it, we'll take it back and make it another adjustment, because that's how these guitars are made. They're made so they can be adjusted. Once you get it and you know your string gauge and everything, don't be flipping your string gauge out. You're going to be changing your action again. And perhaps if you go to a lighter string from being at wherever you're at, it goes a little bit lighter, you could end up with string buzz. So, let's just talk about this just a little bit today. I'm going to show you a couple things that I do in terms of looking at it. Now, I've already looked at this, and actually I made a slight adjustment to the action. I'm talking really slight. The truss rod in this is very responsive. And I made the change, and I'll tell you why I did in just a minute. So yeah, so I thought we would do that today. And again, you know, I'm sure there's some out there that'll come back and say, well, I do it this way. And that's okay too. I mean, I've just noticed there is difference of opinion. And I don't know if there really is. You try to find the standard, and every company has its own standard. And I really think that's what it should come down to. I don't have it here with me, but I have the Martin SC13. And their standard for how they have set their relief is completely different from the standard that you'd see for the average acoustic guitar. Now, KRUTZ, I don't see any standards out in terms of how they set this. I know what I measured, and it's within range of what would be pretty normal for an acoustic. It's actually set up. It was set up really nice, just a little bit high for my taste, and. Again, it was just because of me. Somebody else will come along and say, oh no, I would leave it there. I wouldn't touch it. So, you know, it just depends. I mean, I have small hands. You know, I'm getting older. I like comfort. So I don't want to work at all. But on the other hand, I don't want a lot of buzz either. So it's trying to find that balance. And then also I want to get the best out of the tone that this guitar will give me. Now this guitar has laminated back and sides. You can see that beautiful koa, and the top is a solid koa top. And this is pretty amazing for a $6.99 guitar. I got it on sale. I got it for $5.99, but that's a deal. It's a steal, really. It doesn't have any electronics in it, and as you can see, it's very, very pretty. And it plays beautifully. I mean, it's just... just a gorgeous guitar. So yeah, I really like this instrument. I think the company is in Kansas, and I forgot the name of the city. It's just outside Kansas City, right there near the kind of, I think it's like on a border between Missouri and Kansas. But anyways, they have a factory there where they actually make instruments. Now, I don't know if this one was actually made there, or maybe, I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I do know they make some very fine instruments, cellos, violins, mandolins. I saw one mandolin they had priced at $10,000. It was absolutely gorgeous. I read someplace else that they make their guitars in Kansas too, but I'm not sure. I cannot tell exactly where they're made. But I have to say, wherever they're made, it doesn't matter. They made a beautiful guitar at an awesome, affordable price. So check it out. Get online, check it. It's KRUTZ is the name of the company. Let's see, maybe take this off. There, see that? And it's just beautifully made. Just look at the workmanship on that thing. It still has the price tag. I haven't been playing it. But you can see they even came with a strap button. I like it when they put a strap button on. It always makes me nervous when I go to put one on. I'm always worried I'm going to crack the wood on the neck. That would be absolutely major if something like that happened. So yeah, so I'm pretty impressed by this. The tuners are really beautiful too. Let me show you these tuners. I mean, I don't know what company made them, but they're a closed tuner. And they feel real good when you're turning them. It has a dual action truss rod in it as well. I don't know if you can see that down there. Yeah. And yeah, so it's just a really, really nice instrument at a really great price. This is auditorium style, has a 15-inch bow down it this way. I think it's 4.5 inches this way. It just feels great. The other thing I did when I was checking this out this morning, as I took a straight edge, and I laid it across the fingerboard here. And what I wanted to see was where the straight edge met on the bridge, because you want to see it, you know, as it comes off of here, it should just meet the very top of that bridge. And it did. It was right on. Again, beautifully made. And so the guitar it looks great. Yeah, there we go. So okay, so let's take a look over here. I'm gonna move everything, and I'm gonna show you how I check the relief. We'll talk a little bit about it. I also want to talk a little bit about the nut and how the setting is. You know, is the nut too high? If that nut is too high on your guitar, it won't feel comfortable. This one happens to be set perfectly, but I have seen them where the nut was too high, and I took it off and shaved it down and put it back on, and lo and behold, everything felt so much better. And okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here we have the guitar sitting on my bench here. I'm gonna take this out of this here. I don't want it to fall. I have it sitting on some really soft blocks over here. There we go. I had found these at a garage sale. They're actually for exercise, but they're nice and soft. So I use them. I have two of them. I got them for like $1 each or something, and they work perfect for setting the guitar to keep it straight. So I'm going to set this just like this. Shouldn't go anywhere. And the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to check the relief on the guitar. So I'm going to take a capo, and I'm going to put it here. I think we can see that okay. Yeah, we can. Put it here at the first fret. And then what I'm going to do is, the way I learned that you can just eyeball it, basically. You would press down here at wherever it meets the body, because you're trying to create a straight line. And then right in the center, which would be about the 6th fret, and I saw some that said 7th fret, but I used the 6th fret, okay? So it'll be right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fret. Okay, and so basically what you want to do is kind of tap it, and you should hear a little bit of noise, or it should dance just a little bit. Okay, if it didn't have any at all, I'm going to just press it here. If it was like that and there was no sound at all and there was no movement, well, that means that relief is the neck is probably too far back. It needs to come forward a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure it. So I have some little feeler gauges here. And this morning I checked it, and it was at 0.008. So it was at 0.008, see that? And so when I press this down, and it's 6th fret, this thing here would just, you could see it's lifting it just a little bit. So what I did, it wasn't at the time when it went just under, it was actually at 0.008. But I wanted it to be just a little bit down, so I took an Allen wrench, which I had one that fit here in the truss rod. I think this is a 4mm. Anyways, it fit right in, and I'm not going to change it, but I just gave it just this much turn, like that. It wasn't even a quarter of a turn, and you could hear the guitar, and you could also feel it. It was actually, I could tell it was probably the first time that thing has ever been turned. It just felt real tight, but once it did, it moved really nicely, and it brought it down. So where it was at 0.008, now where it's at is 0.007. And let me see here. Let me find that again. There's 0.06, 0.007. There it is right there. And so we're going to come back here to the 6th fret. See, it It just goes under. There's just very slight movement. And I noticed a difference in how it felt as soon as I did it. And again, I started testing to make sure, did my change create any problems? And it did not at all. This guitar is really, really, really balanced. So yeah, so it's really, really good. These strings here are the ones that are usually the three high strings are usually the ones that buzz on me if something's off. So that was the first thing I checked. I made just a slight adjustment. And then I came up here and I was curious about the nut. I probably should have checked that first. But basically all I did was measure it. There's a couple ways to approach it, but I measured it. I'm not going to get down there using this gauge here. You see that? And what I wanted to see was 0.02 at the first fret. And so I put it behind it. You look just underneath and look just underneath to make sure where it meets under the string. And sure enough, it's right at 0.02. So it measures out well. Another way to check it is, so a lot of people will just press down here on the third fret, and you should just hear just a little bit of sound. There should just be a little dance, which there is there. And so people that have a lot of experience, they get a feel for it, and they don't measure. They're just feeling it out. They could see it. After a while, you just get used to it. And again, that was the way I learned, was to press it down, and then you feel it out. And so basically, this guitar coming out of the factory, it's set up beautiful. And action was just a little too high for me. So this morning, I don't change the truss rod to adjust the action, although it did make a change on it when I adjusted the truss rod. But I just adjusted the truss rod according to specs. I made sure I didn't overdo it. And then I came back and I measured it again. And again, I can't get down there, but when I measured it out, it was at 0.09 at the low E, at the 12th fret. So that's really good for an acoustic guitar. There's a range that these can be set at. They can be set, you'll see 0.1 here to I think it's 0.8. And then the other hand, on the low end, you'll see 0.08. And I've actually seen it 0.065, which I think is way too low, but at least for me. But I've seen that range there. In fact, there's a range. I have a tool here, a fret rocker, and on it they have the ranges. And in this case here, they're saying 0.079 for acoustic guitar here, which is 0.08 basically, and up to 0.1 on this. Actually, they say 0.098. My eyes are just, let me pick this up, make sure. Yeah, they're saying 0.098. So roughly 0.1, right? Okay, so there's a range, and that on the high end, when this guitar is set up on the high end, which by the way it just feels high to me. It's personal. It's not anything wrong with the guitar. The guitar is beautifully balanced. It's well made. They had it set up, I think, actually perfectly within specs. But again, does that mean that I might necessarily prefer the way it's set up? No, I have my own preferences. So I made an adjustment to the truss rod, which actually brought the action down. So I was going to take off some from the saddle, but I don't need to now, because when I made that adjustment, it brought it down just enough to where I think I might leave it. Usually what happens, like I thought I was going to have to bring it down like 0.01. To bring this saddle down 0.01, you actually, to bring the strings down 0.01, you actually need to double that number and take 0.02 off of the saddle. Does that make sense? So whatever you measure down here, if you look at it and it's 0.1 and you say, oh, I want it to be 0.08, well, then you're bringing it down 0.02, right? So you're going to have to take 0.04 off of here. So in this case, I only wanted to come down 0.01, which I would have had to take off 0.02. But now when I measure it, it comes out to 0.09. Well, just below 0.09, and I don't know. When I change the strings next, I might just shave off just a hair of this, just a little bit, but it's pushing it because I do not want to end up with string buzz. Right now, the intonation is really nice. So that might be a little high. Nah, it's not bad. So when you play the harmonic, you should be able to hear pretty much the same tone when you fret the 12th fret. Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today in this beautiful KRUTZ guitar. There's a way to approach your action. And if your action is high on your guitar, don't throw it out. Get it set up. There's nothing, in most cases, there is nothing wrong with your guitar. And every guitar is different. And every manufacturer uses their own little specs. And so, but when it's all said and done, you have to set it up so that it's comfortable for you. Okay, so again, I thought I'd share that and share this beautiful KRUTZ guitar. This is a great guitar, by the way. For the price, it's absolutely amazing. I don't know where else you're going to find a guitar that low and come out with this, except for McKinsey & Marr. I really love their instruments as well. Great prices, absolutely fantastic instruments, and those are all solid wood. This has laminated back and sides. So anyways, okay, well, I guess we'll leave it right there. And I hope you all have a great day or night wherever you are in this world.